Let's get real for a moment. Every single one of us has felt fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. And most people, they let that fear control their lives. They let it keep them small, safe, and stuck. But here's the truth. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your greatest source of untapped energy. Fear is fuel. And when you learn to master that energy, when you learn to transform fear into courage, you unlock a version of yourself that is unstoppable. Fear is one of the most misunderstood emotions in human life. Most people see it as a threat, as something to run from, as a giant red light flashing a stop. But the truth, fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are on the edge of something meaningful. A signal that you are stepping into the unknown, into growth, into a new level of yourself. Think about it. If fear only showed up when your life was in danger, that would make sense. If you were standing on the edge of a cliff, face to face with a wild animal, or in front of a speeding car, fear would be the body's way of saying, hey, get out of the way, protect yourself. But that's not when most of us feel fear anymore. Today we feel fear before giving a presentation, before asking someone out, before launching a business, before trying something we've never done before. The danger isn't physical, it's psychological. It's about rejection, failure, embarrassment, and uncertainty. So what does that mean? It means fear is not telling you to retreat. It's telling you that you're alive. It's telling you that something important is on the line. It's telling you that you're standing in front of an opportunity to expand beyond your current limits. That's why successful people don't run from fear. They pay attention to it. They read it as a compass. Now here's the mistake most people make. They confuse the feeling of fear with a command. They think, I feel afraid, therefore I must not proceed. But fear is not a command. It is simply information. It's your nervous system firing up energy. Your body is preparing you, heart racing, adrenaline pumping, senses sharpening, not because you're weak, but because you're ready. You are gearing up for a breakthrough moment. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you're about to walk on stage in front of 500 people. Your palms are sweaty, your chest is tight, your mind is racing with doubt. Most people would interpret that as, I'm not ready. I shouldn't do this. I need to back out. But what if you shifted that meaning? What if instead of saying, I'm afraid, you said, my body is giving me the energy I need to perform? Suddenly, fear transforms. The same physical signals that once paralyzed you now empower you. The fear didn't go away. You just changed the meaning. Here's the key. Fear shows up at the edge of growth. You never feel fear when you're sitting comfortably on the couch, watching TV, doing the same thing you've always done. You feel fear when you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And that's the exact place you need to be if you want to grow, if you want to live a life that's bigger than the one you have now. Every great achievement, every bold step, every dream realized started with fear. The inventor felt fear. The inventor felt fear. The athlete felt fear. The artist felt fear, but they recognized it for what it was, a signal that this was their moment to rise. So the next time fear shows up in your life, don't see it as an enemy. Don't see it as a wall blocking you. See it as a green light, a message, a guidepost. Fear is saying, this is it. This matters. Step forward. Because the truth is, fear is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you. It's there to direct you. It's there to remind you that you're alive, that you care, that you're capable of more than you've been living. Fear is not your stop sign. It's your signal. And when you start treating it that way, you'll stop retreating and start advancing into the life you were meant to live. Fear, at its core, is neutral. It's just energy. But how you interpret that energy decides everything. Most people attach negative meanings to fear. They say, a fear means I'm weak. Fear means I'm not good enough. Fear means I'll fail. That interpretation becomes a prison. But when you shift your relationship with fear, when you learn to reframe it, you unlock a limitless source of fuel. Let me tell you something powerful. Fear is not the enemy of courage. Fear is the foundation of courage. Without fear, there is no courage. Courage is not about the absence of fear. It's about moving forward despite fear. Imagine a firefighter running into a burning building. Do you think they don't feel fear? Of course they do. But they've trained their mind to interpret fear as a signal to act, not retreat. They've reframed the meaning. That's what you and I need to do. Change the story we attach to fear. Because here's the truth. Fear is not happening to you. It's happening for you. It's a call to rise, a sign that you're on the path of growth. If you can reframe fear as preparation instead of punishment, as possibility instead of paralysis, then everything changes. So how do you do it? Start with your language. The words you use shape your emotional reality. If you tell yourself, I'm terrified, I can't do this, your brain shuts down. But if you say, I'm excited, I'm energized, this fear means something powerful is about to happen, then suddenly the same physical sensations, racing heart, sweaty palms, nervous stomach, become fuel. You've reframed the meaning, and now you've turned panic into power. Let's use a practical example. Imagine you're about to launch a business. Fear will scream, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if people laugh at me? That's one frame of loss, risk, and humiliation. But what if you flipped it? What if you asked, what if I succeed? What if I create freedom for my family? What if this changes lives? Suddenly, the exact same situation now feels like a thrilling adventure rather than a death sentence. Nothing external changed. The numbers, the risks, the uncertainty, they all remain. The only thing that changed is the frame, and that changed everything. Reframing fear is not about denying reality. It's not about pretending there are no risks. It's about choosing a more empowering perspective. It's about focusing on the potential rather than the pitfall. And when you practice this enough, your nervous system learns to associate fear with excitement instead of paralysis. You become addicted not to comfort, but to growth. Here's a truth most people never realize. Your body doesn't actually know the difference between fear and excitement. Physiologically, they look almost identical. Elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, butterflies in the stomach. The difference is psychological. Fear says, I'm in danger. Excitement says, I'm about to grow. The only thing separating the two is the story you attach. So here's the challenge. The next time fear shows up, don't ask a why is this happening to me. Instead, ask a what is this preparing me for? That one shift will turn fear from a cage into a compass. Because when you reframe fear, you take back control. You're no longer the victim of your emotions. You're the master of them, and mastery over fear doesn't just build courage. It builds confidence, resilience, and unstoppable momentum. Fear isn't here to weaken you. It's here to wake you up. And when you learn to reframe it, you don't just survive it, you thrive because of it. Fear has a funny way of growing when you sit still. The longer you wait, the bigger it gets. Fear thrives in hesitation, in overthinking, in that endless loop of what if. But the moment you take action, even the smallest step, you strip fear of its grip. Because fear cannot survive in motion. Think about it. How many times have you been terrified of doing something, only to realize that once you actually started, the fear almost instantly disappeared? That phone call you were dreading, that presentation you thought would crush you, the conversation you kept postponing. Once you moved, once you acted, the fear shrank. That's because fear is loudest before the first step. Once you engage, the brain shifts from imagining threats to handling reality. And reality is always less terrifying than the monsters we create in our head. Here's the secret. Fear is not a wall, it's smoke. It looks solid until you walk through it. Action is the step that clears the smoke. That's why action is the cure for fear. Not endless positive thinking. Not sitting around waiting for confidence. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. Let me put it this way. Courage is built like a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens through repetition. Every time you act in the face of fear, you build a new neural pathway. You teach your brain. I can handle this. I survived last time and I'll survive this time. Slowly, fear loses its power. Action rewires your nervous system to associate challenge with growth, not with catastrophe. But here's the trap. Most people wait for fear to vanish before they move. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for the nerves to go away, but that time never comes. If you wait for fear to disappear, you'll wait your whole life. The way out is to act while fear is present. Action doesn't come after courage. Action creates courage. Think about public speaking. It's the number one fear in the world, even above death. People get paralyzed just thinking about standing in front of an audience. But the best speakers didn't start fearless. They started terrified. The difference is they spoke anyway. They kept stepping up, their voices shaking, their hands sweating. And eventually, through repetition and action, fear lost its power. So what does this look like for you? It means stop negotiating with fear. Don't sit there making excuses, analyzing every risk until you're frozen. Fear loves analysis. It feeds on delay. Instead, take one bold step forward. Make the call. Send the email. Start the project. Speak the truth. Whatever it is, move. Here's a powerful truth. Momentum is stronger than fear. Once you start moving, you generate energy. That energy builds confidence. And confidence becomes the antidote to fear. But none of that begins until you act. Let's get practical. When you feel fear rising, use the 5-second rule. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Stand up. Speak up. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Don't give your brain the time to talk you out of it. Because hesitation is the breeding ground of fear, but immediate action is its executioner. Remember, fear is not a signal to stop, it's a signal to start. It's your body telling you, this matters. Pay attention. Step forward. And if you use that energy to take action, you'll find that the very thing you feared becomes the thing that frees you. Because once you move, you create proof. And proof is the most powerful antidote to doubt. You no longer have to convince yourself with affirmations. You have real evidence. I did it. I can do it again. Fear grows in silence. Fear grows in stillness. But the moment you act, fear dissolves into momentum. And momentum, once built, becomes unstoppable. So stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop overthinking. Stop letting fear build castles in your mind. The only way to beat fear is to move. Right now, fear isn't always the enemy. In fact, fear can be one of your greatest teachers if you choose to see it differently. The problem isn't fear itself. The problem is how you interpret it. Most people feel fear and immediately label it as a red light, a stop. Stay safe. Don't do it. But what if fear is not a red light? What if it's a green light telling you, go, this is where growth lives? Think about the last time you were truly afraid of something. Maybe it was starting a new career, approaching someone you admired, or speaking your truth in a difficult situation. In that moment, your body reacted. Your heart raced, your palms sweated, your mind screamed with doubts. And what did you tell yourself? Most likely, this must mean I shouldn't do it. But here's the shift. Those very sensations, racing heart, adrenaline, shaking hands, are not signs of danger. They are signs of opportunity. Your body is literally flooding you with energy, preparing you for performance. The same physiological response happens in fear as it does in excitement. The only difference is the label you put on it. Reframing fear means making a choice in interpretation. Instead of saying, I'm terrified, I can't do this, you say, I'm energized, this means I'm growing. Fear becomes a compass. It points directly to the places in your life where transformation is waiting. If something scares you, it's usually because it matters. And if it matters, it's worth pursuing. Let's use an analogy. Imagine fear as a heavy weight in the gym. At first glance, that weight looks intimidating. It's big, it's heavy, and your muscles resist the thought of lifting it. But that weight is not there to crush you. It's there to strengthen you. Fear works the same way. It feels heavy, but it's designed to build your courage muscles. The more you face it, the stronger you become. Here's a powerful question you can ask yourself every time fear shows up. What is this fear trying to teach me? Instead of running away, lean in. Fear teaches responsibility. It teaches resilience. It teaches you to sharpen your skills, to expand your capacity, to prepare more deeply. Fear isn't the obstacle. It's the curriculum. It's life's way of saying, here is your next lesson. Pay attention. Many of the world's greatest achievers understood this. They didn't eliminate fear. They reframed it. Athletes don't step onto the field without fear. Leaders don't walk into negotiations without fear. Artists don't release their work without fear. The difference is they've trained themselves to interpret fear as fuel. They've rewired their minds to say, if I feel this, it means I'm alive, I'm growing, I'm stepping into the next level of myself. And let's get practical again. Next time you feel fear, instead of freezing, do this. Pause, breathe, and name it differently. Say out loud, this is not fear. This is energy. This is my body preparing me to rise. By changing the language, you change the experience. Fear becomes less of an enemy and more of an ally. Remember, courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Courage means you feel the fear, but you step forward anyway. Because you've reframed it. You've chosen to see it as a sign of expansion, not as a warning of collapse. So the next time fear knocks, don't hide. Open the door. Welcome it. Say, I see you. I know what you're here for. You're here to stretch me, to challenge me, to grow me. Because when you reframe fear, you transform it. It stops being a wall and becomes a window into the next bigger version of who you are meant to become. One of the biggest mistakes people make when facing fear is waiting until they feel ready. They tell themselves, I'll move forward when I'm not scared anymore. But here's the truth. You'll never feel completely ready. Fear doesn't vanish with waiting. In fact, the longer you wait, the louder fear becomes. Fear feeds on hesitation. The more you pause, the more you think, the more your mind builds stories about why you can't do it. And eventually fear paralyzes you. Think of fear like quicksand. The moment you stop moving, you start sinking. The only way to escape is take intentional, decisive action. Even small steps can break the grip of fear. Action cuts through anxiety. Movement shifts your focus away from what might go wrong and into what you can do right now. Let's take an example. Imagine someone terrified of speaking in front of a crowd. If they wait until they feel no fear, they will wait forever. But if they take one small action, like practicing in front of a mirror, recording themselves, or sharing a message with a small group, they start to chip away at that fear. With every step, the monster gets smaller, and their courage grows stronger. Action is the antidote to fear. Not overthinking, not avoiding, not hiding. Action. The moment you act, fear loses its grip because you're proving to yourself that you can move forward despite it. And that's the essence of courage. Not waiting until you feel brave, but acting even when you don't. Here's something powerful to remember. Motion creates emotion. When you move, when you act, you generate energy. The energy pushes back against fear. Think about it. When you're frozen in fear, your body is tense, your mind is clouded. But the second you take a step, send the message, make the call, walk into the room, your energy shifts. You're no longer a victim of fear. You're a participant in life. But let me go deeper. Every time you take action in the face of fear, you're not just overcoming a moment. You're reprogramming your identity. You're teaching your brain, I am the kind of person who acts even when I'm scared. And identity is everything. Once you believe you're courageous, your actions naturally follow. Think of all the people you admire. Leaders, innovators, visionaries. Do you think they waited for fear to disappear? No. They moved forward with shaking hands, pounding hearts, and uncertain outcomes. They stepped into the arena even when fear screamed at them to stay out. That's why they succeeded, not because they were fearless, but because they acted anyway. Here's a strategy you can use. The 5-second rule of courage. The moment fear arises and you feel hesitation, count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Pick up the phone. Open your mouth. Walk into the room. Send the message. By acting before fear builds momentum, you interrupt the cycle of paralysis. You train yourself to act fast and fear can't catch up. And remember, action doesn't always have to be massive. It can be small, consistent steps. Fear hates progress, even tiny progress. Each step builds evidence, and evidence builds confidence. The more evidence you collect that you can act despite fear, the more unstoppable you become. So the next time fear whispers in your ear, don't sit back and negotiate with it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel confident. Take action before fear takes over, because fear is loudest in silence, but it can't survive in motion. When you act in spite of fear, you reclaim your power. You prove to yourself that fear may visit, but it doesn't get to stay. And in that decision, right there, you transform fear from an enemy into fuel. Fear isn't something you conquer once and never feel again. It will show up at every new level of your life. Every time you dream bigger, step into the unknown, or pursue something extraordinary, fear will knock on your door. That's not weakness. That's proof that you're stretching, growing, and living fully. The real secret isn't to eliminate fear, but to transform your relationship with it. Most people see fear as an enemy. They think if I'm scared, it means I'm not ready, I'm not strong enough, I'm not good enough. But that mindset traps you. Instead, what if you began to see fear as a signal? Fear doesn't always mean stop. Often it means go. It means you're standing at the edge of something important. Fear is a compass pointing toward the areas of your life that matter most. Imagine this. You feel terrified about starting a new business, having that difficult conversation, or moving to a new country. That fear is not there to push you back. It's there to say, this is where you'll grow. This is where you'll expand. This is where your future is waiting. When you learn to see fear as fuel, you stop running from it and start harnessing it. Here's the truth. Courage doesn't exist without fear. If you weren't scared, courage would have no meaning. Courage is born in the presence of fear. Every time you face fear, you're actually given an opportunity to practice courage. And the more you practice, the stronger you get. Think of fear as the gym for your soul. Each time it shows up, you get to lift the weight of uncertainty, push against the resistance of doubt, and grow stronger. Now let's get practical. How do you transform fear into a lifelong ally? First, acknowledge it. Don't bury it. Don't deny it. Don't shame yourself for feeling it. Say, yes, I feel fear. And that's okay. Then reframe it. Instead of asking, what if this goes wrong? Ask, what if this goes right? What if this fear is guiding me towards something incredible? That single shift in perspective can turn anxiety into anticipation. Second, channel the energy of fear. Fear floods your body with adrenaline, focus, and alertness. Instead of letting that energy paralyze you, direct it into action. Use the rush of fear to sharpen your mind, fuel your movement, and step forward with intensity. Athletes, performers, leaders, they all feel fear. The difference is they've trained themselves to use that energy for performance instead of paralysis. Third, remember your why. Fear grows when your focus is on yourself, your mistakes, your failures, your embarrassment. But courage grows when your focus is on your purpose. When the reason behind your action is greater than the fear in front of you, fear shrinks. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? What's at stake if I don't act? Suddenly, fear no longer looks like a wall. It looks like a doorway. And finally, embrace fear as a lifelong partner. You don't need to get rid of it. You need to walk with it. You need to walk with it. Carry it alongside your courage. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're pushing boundaries, that you're stepping into greatness. When you stop fighting fear and start flowing with it, you unlock a level of freedom most people never experience. Here's the ultimate truth. Fear is the ultimate truth. Fear will always be there, but so will courage. The question is, which one will you feed? Every moment you choose to turn fear into fuel, you master the energy of courage. And when you do that, there is no limit to who you can become, what you can create, or how far you can go. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your teacher. Fear is your signal. Fear is your ally. And when you learn to master that energy, you don't just live with courage, you live unstoppable. Fear will always be there, but you have a choice. You can let it paralyze you, or you can let it propel you. You can bow to it, propel you. You can bow to it, or you can burn it as fuel. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is not fearlessness. It's the ability to master fear and turn it into courage. So the next time fear shows up, and it will, don't run, don't hide. Stand tall, take a deep breath, and say a thank you for the fuel. Then step forward and unleash the energy of courage that was inside you all along.